Possibly one of the most successful side projects ever, Gorillaz, stemming from the Blur days. Damon Albarn has crafted something really quite important in the world of music by doing what he's done with Gorillaz and the animated band and the legacy that is behind that visual aspect of what Gorillaz represent. It's really quite hard to see such success with something like this, especially when you were already part of something so big and popular like Blur. I mean, you've got to give it credit to Damon and the crew behind Gorillaz, because this is quite special really for all these years later to still be relevant. Aside from that though, I've always thought they've had a pretty decent discography. I've never been the biggest fan of their albums, but I've always recognized when they've put out something really good. And for me, when it comes to like individual songs, they have some excellent songs, and I'm gonna have to do a top 10 songs for Gorillaz one day. I think I did it right at the start on my channel, but I will redo that video because that is a very old video now that probably hasn't aged well, and there's plenty of songs that I want to talk about again by Gorillaz in another video at some point, because goddamn, so much good music for so many years. Now they are a little bit on a mediocre streak, if I'm being totally honest with you. I think it's been pretty weak since Humans, to be honest. I mean, one of the funniest things I think I ever saw regarding Humans as an album was how it sounds like. It sounds like a DJ Khaled album, you know, curated by Tumblr users, which I think was one of the best analogies for that album ever. And since then, I don't think it's been particularly too good. I think the Now Now was one of their worst albums ever. And then their last album, which seemed to get more buzz than anything they've put out in absolute years, I just thought was pretty average. Aside from a few really great tracks, I didn't quite see what the hype was all about for that one. Aries though, love that shit. But the rest of that album, I didn't get quite on board with. So it's safe to say that Gorillaz are certainly not in their prime right now. They've not really been putting out their best music for quite some time. Regardless of your opinion of their last album, the opinion of the last few albums before that was really weak. Of course, they still got their classics, but I will say Cracker Island, the hilariously titled Cracker Island, which sounds like something JPEG Mafia would put in one of his random tweets that he does, is actually decent. And I'm sort of disappointed to see that everyone's just finding this one to be pretty mediocre, because I got some enjoyment out of this. It ain't near their best, honestly. I wouldn't put it on that par, and at times it can be a little bland sounding. But overall, I think this is okay. I think it's all right. I think the opening track with Thundercat has a really jaunty rhythm to it, which I think is quite strange and animated, which you should expect from Gorillaz. I mean, this is the least they can do, because that's something they've always had in their music. There's that kind of brightness that you'd get from some kind of cartoon, but also a bit of wackiness that you'd also get from a cartoon. It's prime Gorillaz really in terms of how it sounds. The easy standout track though, I want to jump right into the standout track, is New Gold with Tame Impala, and a really great throwback to kind of like the stylo sound that they came through with in like 2010 with Plastic Beach. Just that kind of like really, you know, poppy feel to the track, but then you've got this really cool, quirky little rap verse that adds a lot of energy to the song, which I was a really big fan of. I actually think this is a really good song, a really nice sort of party atmosphere track that you could just play in all kinds of settings and get a good response to. I'm a big fan of this one. So two tracks there that I think kind of remind me of the prime days of Gorillaz for sure. But then beyond that, you've got some kind of more modern isms coming through, which I think are working in the favor of Gorillaz for the most part. Tired Influence has this really washed out, almost chill wave vibe to it, honestly. Really nice atmospheric tone to it that I can kind of get lost in. In the right setting, I could really find myself getting lost in this track. I think it's pretty nice to listen to. And then a very similar vibe to that is the Bad Bunny featured track as well. So both tracks kind of fall in the same category of that kind of nice, slow, vibey, chilled out feeling, which works really well. I think Bad Bunny, of course, bringing his own character to the track. Makes it sound quite a bit different to Tired Influencer in that sense, but both have a really nice feel to them. And of course, I would imagine this will really take off for Gorillaz, because anything Bad Bunny gets involved in just goes absolutely crazy on, you know, streaming services. Like, his numbers are mental, so it would be interesting to see how well this track does for them. I'm also impressed with the track from Stevie Nicks, well, the track with Stevie Nicks, should I say, Oil. Really nice track, really earnest feel to it. I think Stevie adds a nice tone to the song. The overall tone of the song feels like really earnest and kind of like, I guess, grounded and humble. There's a really great tone to the track, really nice song, honestly, that I wasn't quite expecting. I mean, it's not quite on the level of Aries, but it does kind of bring that similar sort of feel to it. I'm a fan of Silent Running as well. I think it's a good track here. I like a whistle melody. I like a whistle melody in my songs. I don't know why, there's always something about it. You know, listening to like Bunny is a Rider, great Caroline Polachek song, has a whistle in it. Don't know what it is about a whistle in a track, but it kind of gets me. But the synths sound really nice as well. Yeah, lots of good to come from this album, to be honest. Like, as much as I'm praising this album, I don't think these tracks are, you know, amazing or anything like that, and I'm not absolutely dying to rush back to them. I'm not gagging for it or anything, but they do sound quite good, and that's the kind of thing that I want to highlight the most, is that when this album was on, it was a nice, mildly enjoyable listen, for sure. It's just that the replayability of some of these songs isn't going to be that high, I don't think, and that might be where the album sort of falls short. It's almost like it's got a ceiling for me. Like, I'm liking it while it's on, but I'm not going to be rushing going back to it. Like, the ceiling is kind of like not too high. The ceiling could be here, but it's kind of like about there. But I'm liking it. It's nice. It's good to listen to. Towards the end, I think we start to get a little bit of a stumbling from the album. I don't think Skinny Ape is particularly too good. I think it's fine, but maybe the amount of times that Ape is said in the song just gets way too hammered in, and I'm not even sure if the actual theme or the concept of the track even ends up working that well either, to be honest. But for me, the worst track has got to be the final song. I feel like I'm always beating down on Beckman, but I'm not doing it on purpose. I genuinely do just think this track is really not good. It's super cheesy sounding, and I don't know why they chose to end on such like a cliche, sort of cheesy, high track like this. I mean, it's fine if it sounds okay, but this one just was not that interesting to me. So yeah, I mean, overall, it's not at the best, you know, that we've seen the band put out, for sure. I don't think anyone out there would be claiming that, but it's certainly not the worst, and I certainly would put it above the last few albums from them, which I think might be a take people don't agree with. But like I say, I got some enjoyment out of it. I think there is a ceiling for this kind of thing though. Like I said, I'm not going to be rushing back to a lot of these tracks, which is why for me I'd go a 6.5 out of 10. But I did get some enjoyment out of this. I thought it was pretty good. Some really good standouts as well, particularly like Oil and New Gold. I think those tracks are the two tracks I would go back to a lot. And the rest of it, on any given day, I can get some enjoyment out of as well. Some weaker moments for sure, but I thought this was quite good. Thank you for watching this review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you agree with me as well. If you don't agree, or if you do agree, or if you have something to say, please let me know in the comments what you think. Do subscribe if you haven't already. That would be fantastic to see. Have a good day. Check out my Patreon as well. Don't forget to do that in the link. The link is in the description. It's right there in the description. Go click it. Have a good day. Goodbye.